Hey guys, how's it going? MSH Garage here, bringing you my first content-based video. So I'm really excited. It's been a long time coming for me personally, not for you guys. This is like my second video, but I'm personally excited to bring you my build of my 2017 5.0 Mustang. So this build has been quite a long time coming. Now, from your perspective, you know, you're just seeing the car built as is, but this has been a previous culmination of building another Mustang that I've worked on and also getting this car, and really a lot of build up until this point. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my 2017 5.0 Mustang and some of the new stuff I just added about a month ago and the new big additions to my build. So first off, I badged this car as a Mach 1. You may know some of the scuttlebutt and some of the background about how this car was developed, and I could be wrong about this, so you can correct me and leave comments below if I'm wrong about this. But I know that the S197, I believe, was based on some of the later gen 60s Mustangs. At least that's what the concept was. Me personally, it looks very much reminiscent of a 70s Mach 1 Mustang, a 71, 72, 73. So stock, when I saw this car, when it first came out, I liked it, but I actually wasn't in love with it. I think the S197 really had a special place in everybody's heart. When I saw this car, I said, well, as a lot of people do, you saw the front end, you're like, well, it kind of looked like a Fusion. A little bit it did. However, when I saw some of American Muscle's ads and some of the advertisements when people were modding these cars, that's when I absolutely fell in love with this car. Not to mention it also has a Gen 2 Coyote, as everybody knows, really solid engine. They fuse it all, if there were any, with the Gen 1 Coyote, adding some of those Boss 302 parts, as you know, under the hood. So, as I mentioned in my intro video also, coming from a family that owned a 67 Fastback, but also a 72 Mach 1, I obviously fell in love with that retro style and theming. I'm going to refer to some of these images of a 72 Mach 1 to show you some of the cues that I draw from to design this car. When I first saw a 72 Mach 1, actually it didn't really turn out to be my favorite of the classic Mustang. I think everyone loves the 67 Fastbacks, the 69 Fastback, but you know, the 72 Mach 1 really grew on me. It has that nice big body to it, a really beautiful frame, and to be quite honest, this car to me has that very same features to it. The way that the back slopes down and goes into that fastback look, and of course they named this one as a fastback. Also some of the other cues from the car, the front end, I think it had a very actually 72 Mach 1 feel to it. So that's why I decided to go with that, and because my family previously owned a 72 Mach 1. As I'm going to show to you, I've drawn a lot of cues from a 72 Mach 1 and put those designs into this car. So up front here, I want to show first are these intake vents. So if you'll refer back to the 72 Mach 1, what you'll see is that there are the ram air scoops. Now what's great on this car is that it had the heat extractor vents right here. Now MMD fortunately sold a pair of replacements for those heat extractor vents, which were ram airs instead, and I went ahead and bolted these on. One major throwback theme right there, the ram air scoops. Now the other thing, you'll see the badging on the car, I put side stripes and also a single hood stripe on there also. If you refer back and take a look to the 72 Mach 1, you'll see that it has a nice long side stripe down the side, and it also does gap the wheel well here. And I tried to emulate that and replicate that in my 2017. Now the thing that you'll see in the 72 Mach 1, the classic, is that it does have this hockey stripe up here. Now I don't add that. What I do is I just start from the 5.0 emblem that we have on the car. Now also, the Mach 1 emblem on the 72 is down here. Now I thought it'd be a little crowded to put Mach 1 down here, so I took advantage of those nice kind of shark-like protrusions that are on the hood and went ahead and put the Mach 1 emblem up here instead. Now it actually falls pretty close in line to where it would be on the 72, but I decided to put it up on the hood instead. I guess I also put the aftermarket fuel door on here. And on the back, what I decided to do is go with a matte black, the matte black MMD rear deck lid. So classically on the 72, what you see is they had Mach 1 written up here towards the top of the rear deck lid. What I decided to do, since there isn't a whole lot of room up there, is put Mach 1 in emblem form down here on the rear deck lid. So it's still very reminiscent, and this is actually a resto mod product for a 72 Mach 1, the Mach 1 badging. So it's actually Ford officially licensed and everything. I decided to put that back here. And I have my branding back here also. Very subtle, 5.0, and MSH for metastatic speed healing garage. So that takes care of and talks about some of the exterior facets of the car. So why don't we start getting into some of the performance that I've done up until now. So of course you'll see I have aftermarket rims on the car. So these are from late model LMR, late model restoration. I really like these matte blaze satin black rims that they came out with. I absolutely fell in love with them when I saw them. I did a lot of back and forth deciding about what kind of rims I wanted. I went with this wheeled tire combination package. So I have 285s up front and 305s on the back. So it's a pretty beefy setup on the car. somewhat staggered, but it's pretty big all around. I think it's actually pretty close or equivalent to the GT350 build setup. So I also went ahead and I painted the brake calipers black to kind of blend everything together. So that takes care of the tire and wheel combination. So the other thing I ended up doing on this vehicle as well is, of course, you may or may not be able to see it, is a lowering kit on the car. I went with the Easy Fit Sport Strider setup on this car. So again, this suspension kit has performed absolutely great, and it gives the car, as I mentioned, a great look. One thing I want to stress to you guys when building a car, at least from my personal experience, is that fundamentals. So the thing is about building a car is you want to put the ponies in, you want to start getting the horsepower right away. But I can't tell you enough how important it is to stick with the fundamentals first. And that's exactly what I did with this vehicle. I focused on tires, I focused on suspension, and a little bit of personal modifications also to get the car looking the way I wanted to look. The other thing I ended up doing as well is I went with the exhaust. Got rid of that massive suitcase in the back that everyone knows about and hates. Did a catback exhaust. Now I went with MBRP, and I went with the blackout tips underneath here also. Those are the things I really honed in on doing first. So fundamentals, getting the sound dialed in for the car and starting to give it an actual 72 Mach 1 look. So you'll notice on my vehicle that I have a lot of cues from the 72 Mach 1. I think I did a really good job of trying to hone in on those, but there are two things that are still missing yet that I'm going to be adding at some point. One of them is a bigger rear deck lid spoiler. So this car does come with a rear deck lid spoiler, and one thing I'm looking at is changing that spoiler though. If you flash back and look to an original 72 Mach 1, that car has a nice big, raised spoiler on it. I'm going to go with a similar look on this vehicle as well. Now, one thing you can take or leave also is the rear louvers on the 72 Mach 1. Now, not all 72 Mach 1s had that feature, but me personally, I really like the way it looks, and I'm going to be adding louvers to this car also at some point. Okay, so that goes over a lot of the introductory level mods and so forth. So originally, I went with a tune and a cold air intake combo, which helped boost my horsepower by about 30 or 40 horsepower. The other thing I did also was put a catch can in the car as well. But that's all changed at this point. So here's the big reveal finally. So those are all things that I've done in the car previously to build up to this point, because I knew what I was going to be doing in this car, even though you guys have no idea, but I've been building for a long time. So let's get into the reveal then. So under the hood is not just your average 2017 Mustang. So I went ahead and I worked with the guys over at Evolution Performance, and we had the Edelbrock E-Force 2650 supercharger installed on the car. So on the outside, I think this car has quite a bit of sleeper status, because on the outside, you'd never guess this thing as a supercharger, and let me tell you, this thing's wild. I talked a lot with Evolution Performance, and they worked really closely with me on building this, and I am very happy that I ended up doing this, because it is a fantastic supercharger. So it's a Stage 2 Edelbrock. The whole package comes with injectors, with spark plugs, the whole 9 yards to get everything accomplished on the car. So they went ahead and they did, of course, all the work on it. Now, one of the reasons I went with a shop as opposed to trying to do the supercharger setup myself is a couple fold. So one, the thing that partly sold me on this is that it came with a warranty, just like the Ford Roush supercharger does. So that was a fantastic bonus for this, is that with the 36,000 mile warranty that you get, I only had 14,000 miles in this car. So I end up still getting about a year and a half, up to 36,000 miles or a year and a half, whichever comes first. Most likely for me, the year and a half and the 36,000, because I don't put a whole lot of mileage on this car. But it came with another year and a half worth of warranty, which is absolutely fantastic. So they bolt this on here. I have a year and a half still left of warranty to see how everything shakes out and see how it does. If anything blows up on it, they'll cover it under the warranty, anything under the drivetrain. Now the key to this though, for anyone who's interested, is that everything has to be stock from the catalytic converter up. Now you can have a catback exhaust, but no oil pump gears, no nothing. Everything has to be stock on the engine aside from the kit that they supplied to have this warranty intact, which is what I really liked about it, is that everything was still warranty based and everything was still stock on the engine. Now, I did a lot of background research on this personally, and I guess I'll impart a little bit of knowledge from my perspective on this, is that how much horsepower can the Coyote take with the stock internals? And there's been a lot of talk about this, and there are no steadfast numbers, because if something goes wrong once, you get a bad bit of gas, a tune's off or something, you can blow that engine sky high and push a rod. But ideally, it seems like from a lot of the different YouTubers out there, from different websites, it seems like the general consensus is about around south of 600 horsepower to the rear wheels is what's safe on the stock internals for this vehicle, and that's right about where this Edelbrock 2650 is putting this car. Is about 600 rear wheel. Now I don't have a dyno sheet, but that's at least what the advertised value is going to be. What's really great also is that it has a cold air intake combo. So I really love all the package and combination that I have here. So you'll see that, you know, it comes with the Ford Racing throttle body. I'm embarrassed with myself because I can't remember how big it is. I think it's a 98mm throttle body. You guys can go ahead and fillet me on that. I should know what that is. Evolution Performance, with the way that we did the install, we talked about it. We also eliminated, personally, I didn't really like the supercharged flanges that come along with this because they come along the side here. We just have the TVS. They're basically cosmetic. I wasn't really a huge fan of them, and they kind of convinced me to keep it off, partly because the UPR catch can that we had, that they installed as part of this combo, it doesn't, the side skirts for the supercharger writing don't fit on there. So you'll see on the websites, and you'll see when you buy this, that, you know, it comes with these side supercharger things. They're completely not functional. They're just an extra piece. And to be quite honest, they're just extra weight. I didn't want them on there. And really, when you go ahead and pop the hood open and take a look at this, it looks really stock, like it belongs there. I mean, first off, I just have to give a huge shout out to Evolution Performance. I'm hoping to do a video with them at some point and go over some of their cars and talk to them and bring you some content from them. But they did an absolutely fantastic job on installing this thing. You take a look inside at some of the details, everything's bundled up very nicely, very, very professional. As part of this whole package, I of course had some of the drivetrain components changed out as well. So the car does have 4 performance half shafts in it now and a drive shaft shop drive shaft. I think both rated for at least 1,000 horsepower. So this is about as far, Evolution Performance working with me and also doing the research on it myself, this is probably about as far as you want to push this car on stock internals. And I'm perfectly happy with that, because let me tell you, I'm going to be doing some run videos, and this thing is absolutely wild. It is tough to keep this thing even on the ground. Now, this is something that I've been, really wanting to do for a long time. Now, I know you guys aren't going to know this because I'm just starting to put these videos out here, but, I got this car back in 2017, and before that, I had a naturally aspirated V6 Mustang. And ever since I got into Mustangs, I was really looking at, I think what everybody wants is a blown 5.0 at some point, anyone who really likes Mustangs. And let me tell you, it's worth every penny to get that done. That mainly rounds out my supercharged 2017 5.0 Mach 1 build that I have going on right now. So a good majority's been on the car, but I am looking at doing more in the future as well. So this is a great starting point for the supercharger, but I can mention with the stage 2 right here, there's a lot of room for growth as well. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate you sticking with me here today to go over my first real content video with the build of my 2017. As I said, it's been a long road getting here, even though you guys don't see it, but hopefully I'll be putting in some backfill content to show you some previous places I come from and some other things that I've done as well. So why don't you go ahead and hit the link for like and subscribe if you like this video. If not, you can go ahead and trash my Mustang below. If you hate Mustangs, go ahead and write down there. If you think I look like a buffoon, go ahead and write down that as well. That's fine with me. But anyway, thanks for staying tuned, guys, and going over my build. I'm hoping to bring you a lot more in the future.